It took 6 rounds, but once a Hokie was drafted, 4 came off the board during the latter portion of the NFL draft over the weekend. We bring in Mike McDaniel from inside the ACC to help us break down the Hokies who were selected. Mike, we'll start with Chuck Clark, defensive back. 93 tackles, 2.5 tackles for loss this past season for Virginia Tech, taken by the Ravens in round 6.
A little bit of a surprise here with Chuck Clark. Not that he was drafted. I think everybody, or most everybody, was expecting Chuck Clark to be drafted, but it was the fact that he was the first member of the Hokies off the board. I think many of the prognosticators heading into the draft had Isaiah Ford and Bucky Hodges as the 2 most popular guys to get drafted first from Virginia Tech. Everybody ended up sliding down the draft board relative to where a lot of these guys were placed in the mocks from Virginia Tech. But Chuck Clark being drafted first was a surprise, but I think it's a good fit with the Ravens. The Ravens have been looking to get young in their secondary for quite some time. Chuck Clark has good size, about 6 feet tall, pretty bulky safety, very good in run support. He's a work in progress against the pass, but he's a guy who's a really solid player for Virginia Tech over the last 4 years. So a really reliable player, somebody that the Ravens will be able to use on special teams to begin with and have an ability to move him around the secondary as well, and kind of a plug-and-play type player. Maybe not right away, but maybe a couple years down the line when he gets some development against the pass rather than against the run. He's always been a really, really good tackler. He's just struggled in the pass defense and coverage at times, but he's a guy who's really solid. He was solid for Virginia Tech for 4 years, a guy that fans were never really mad at. You know, you could pick and choose members of the secondary where, you know, some guys would get burned more often than not. Chuck Clark was not one of those guys, but he only had 2 interceptions in 53 career games with Virginia Tech, and that was problematic. So he's going to have to develop more of a knack for pulling down some more interceptions here as he moves on to the NFL if he wants to see significant playing time at the safety position. But he's a guy who's a surefire tackler and definitely a plug-and-play guy on special teams at the very least for the Ravens.